Looking good here at Gulfstream Park, and another beautiful day as we're off and running on this opening Friday of the championship season. How can you argue with that live shot here at 11:35 a.m. Eastern on the nose? Those palm trees standing at attention. We are fast, we are firm. Blue skies for miles. Not too far from the ocean here at Gulfstream. Jason Blewett, Ron Nicoletti joining all of you. However, wherever you're watching us, we're glad you're coming along for the ride. And as we get down to business, Ronnie, we're into another fast and firm 10-race program.
Yeah, always exciting. And day Fridays, of course, because of the Stronach 5. And we pumped up that guarantee in the Rainbow 6. And we got lots of turf racing. I'm set.
We are set for today, and there's a lot going on, and that basically builds into like the first real, I think, crescendo of the season. Not saying much considering we've run 2 days so far, but Saturday's a big day, my friend, where we've got the annual Claiming Crown, which is really, I don't feel I'm out of line or exaggerating. It really is kind of like a Breeders' Cup day for the claiming horses, and many of those horses are near and dear to us. You'll see some hard-nosed vets on that program here tomorrow with the 9 stakes.
Yeah, tough card to handicap, but it's going to be a great day to wager, and you get a chance to make some big bucks.
Absolutely. Now, the early pick 5 begins, and you've got yourself the right kind of just table setter and scene set with the 12-horse turf race in the first. A lot of guesswork to be had, unless you want the Jersey shipper Twirling Fire, who has had, 3 chances on the turf, has run okay. Not great on the grass, has run okay. The rest of the field is basically a combination of first-time starters or first-time turfers, and I'm all unknowns in this spot going 4, 7, and 8. The 311 for me in the second, I guess I'm just going to kind of grin and bear it, Ronnie. I may be a little light. That might be a chaos race where you've got a big price, but I'm putting my eggs in the basket of the 3 Debbie's Road, and I especially think the 11 Rich's Rags is going to run second back off a lengthy layoff. I'm very bullish on Antigone. I think Antigone's grinding style just didn't work all that well on the dirt at Gulfstream West. I think she's gotten back to her best for Safi, and think she's going to run a big race. I really do in the third. And then I've got coverage the remainder of the way, a 2x3 spread, and that includes a 12-1 shot that I like in the Fit to upset and revved up like a deuce, who really ran well in that horse's, or rather that filly's last turf start. It's now 3 back. Give her a look if you're playing this early pick 5. And it begins, Ronnie, and I'll get you in the mix, my friend, because you do have a field pretty much dominated by unknowns on the turf. And probably leading the pecking order is your top choice, the number four Market Development, who's one of 2 in the race for trainer Wesley Ward.
Yeah, I was really this close to not flipping the horses and putting the 8 on top. This Gelded Son of McLean's Music debuts for Wesley. String of stamina, enhancing workouts, 5 furlong workouts showing.
Let's show that last one, in fact, as you talk. Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Yeah, so, but I looked up a stat as we're showing this here. You see this horse working here on the turf course. He is 0 for 7 with the 2-year-old maiden claim as first-time starters on the turf here at Gulfstream Park. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And it's only 0 for 7. I thought he'd have like 5,500 of them.
No doubt. I'll take the over on 5,500. Yeah. But no, in the case, I'm with you, because in the case of Market Development, and if I'm playing the pick 5, and you saw I included this horse, I would not want to have 4 winners and not use this Wesley Ward horse, especially if he's bet here, because if he's bet, he's probably going to have speed and be pretty quick, and maybe that's all he needs. But I had noticed over an 8-month span, 2-year-olds exclusively here on this circuit, Gulfstream in the summer, and the few horses they ran at Gulfstream West. In the 2-year-old department, this barn is 5 for 30 for 17%. Average win payoff of $4. So 2-year-olds down here weren't setting the world on fire, the few we saw over the summertime, and that concerns me a little bit with the 4 Market Development. You're obviously a fan, though, like I am, of the 8 Today's the Day, and for me, Carlos David, and a horse who just, as she tries or he tries the turf, sloppy track first out, and probably, I would like to think, found 6.5 just too far last time out.
Yeah, and Carlos has been really good with horses going from, dirt to turf, so I thought this one would run well. And as I said, I was going to flip-flop these 2 horses. Ended up keeping Market Development on top of my ticket, but a shaky call for me. And you mentioned the 3 Twirling Fire. I guess we got to mention him. He's the most seasoned turf runner in the field, and he's got Paco in the saddle, so maybe a horse that you add maybe on your B ticket when you're putting your early pick 5 ticket together.
Now, you've got plenty to choose from as we turn the page and we move on to, in fact, our 11-horse dirt capper here with the early double. It's a dirt race, a 12-5 maiden claimer, but you do have 11 in this lower-level maiden claiming field. The morning line favorite in this race, and I think that's one of the things that makes this race so difficult. Morning line favorite at 5-2 is the 4 Making a Legacy, who's been running well of late, yet is 0 for 29.
Yeah, I mean, boy, that's, this gelding is, as you mentioned, 0 for 29. You get in Edgard's eyes, just does not win. Finished second or third in 6 consecutive races at the $10,000 level. Thus, I went like you did with the 11-horse Riches Rags, who's, I think, eligible to take a winning step forward today after returning from an extended layoff to finish a duel in weekend 6 against this level. I'm just expecting a better performance second off the box for Amanda De La Cerda with Louis Sayers handling lightly raced son of Union Regs. I like that too.
Yeah, you got Louis, early speed, and that all-important second race back off a horse that was laid up for about 14 months, and perhaps it's a simple case of it being go time. The 3 Debbie's Road might run okay as well, getting back on the dirt for Steve Dwoskin. Back to the turf we go for Friday's third at 7.5 furlongs, a 2 lifetime, 3-and-up filly mare claimer. We're both with Safi in this spot, and my early pick 5 single, in fact, in the 8 Antigone, who I think Safi has moved along, and dare I say, I think Safi's moved her up. Now, granted, she's gone down a little bit in class since joining his string here in South Florida for Peachtree, but I like her races, at least 2 of them that she's run for this barn. And like I was saying, as she gets back on the turf, I don't know about that plodding style of hers, just how effective it was day in, day out during that 39 days we spent over at Gulfstream West.
She's always faced considerably tougher in her previous turf races, goes back to the grass, finished at third in back-to-back races over there across town on the main track. It's Safi, it's Edgard returning on this daughter of Carpe Diem. Thought it was the one to beat. Quickly on the 2 Josephers, making her first start since rallying to finish second. It was against this caliber competition. I was going a mile across town for Antonio. Paco named on the daughter of Treasure Beach. I like Treasure Beaches on the turf.
I do as well, and we like Antonio. Picked up a couple of wins yesterday, including your best bet in the 9th, who paid around 15 or 16 bucks.
Yeah, 14 bucks. He
14.
came flying in the stretch. Unbelievable performance. Good ride by Edgar Zayas on that horse.
Yeah, without a doubt. Edgar very much in his zone. Already 4 wins for him. Paco, in the meantime, has got 5, and they obviously lead the jockeys here with 2 days thus far completed during the meet. Back on the main before we take our little time out for Friday's 4th. A 3 lifetime $16,000 claimer. Would you say the biggest affection and early scratch on today's card is the 1 Cairo Campaign in this race?
Yeah, I really like that horse this afternoon from a different post. So I just moved up to 5 Bon Prix on top of my ticket. He's stepping up to the next level. Rallied to defeat those 2 lifetime claimers for Louis Carvajal. Paco going for 2 in a row on that horse. And just happened to look at my program, Jason. This is where Edgar Zayas is going to get his trophy for leading rider across town. So mentioning him in the last race and deservingly trophy in race number 4.
And fittingly, I think he's riding the horse to beat, or at least the horse that I picked on top in the 6, Tio Will, for Marcial Navarro. This horse has run fine for Marcial in his 2 races since being claimed. And I think there's an argument to be made he gets a pretty good trip in this race. He's more of like a stalk and kind of wear you down type horse. And with Bon Prix, the number 4 One Fast and even the 2 Dream Doro, they might be motoring early on. I'm going to take Tio Will, who again has got Edgar, is in good form, and may get a good trip in the 4th race. As we take a little breather here on Gulfstream today, we're back chasing the Rainbow, the Stronach 5, and a whole lot more.
the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Download the First Bet app if you haven't already. Whether you're an Android or Apple user, we've got you covered. And how about this live look at 11:45 a.m. here at Gulfstream Park, the old GP by the sea with 2 cards complete. We've run 20 races. We've got another 10 races on the docket today, fast and firm, and a hard line 50 minutes out from race number 1 as Ronnie and Jason welcome you back to the second segment of Gulfstream Park today. And for good reason, Ronnie. I mean, we've got $150K guaranteed in this jackpot Rainbow Six. And why don't we check out your ticket?
Well, 43.20 for me, and it did go 3 deep in the opening leg today. I like Baby Girl on top to 10, but I'm also going to use Truly and Camilla Gal, who's 2 for 4 in the money on the turf. So I thought those were logical contenders. Silver Dollar City and X-Top for me in race number 6. In race number 7 this afternoon, just went 2 deep in there with the 6-horse who I like in their car, along with Shining Through. And in race number 8, I found this one wide open. I went with Palladio, Carson City Kid, Warriors Pride. Ninth race, my best bet of the afternoon is Jolting Joe, but I also use Flow Motion for, just thought this horse would run well coming down from New Jersey. They've been doing that. And then the last, got my long shot in there, and it's the 4 Super Jaguar, 12-1 on the morning line, going to the pole. Kopach Barty's winning races like at a 35% clip. Taking a little shot with him, Time for Trouble, and also using my buddy Positive Phil, who I still can't believe went off the favorite last time.
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable. Well, we said because you got Phil Janek. You've got the great Phil Janek with Positive Phil, and public couldn't resist betting Positive Phil last time out. Interesting 10th race without a doubt, and again, 3 of our races today in the Rainbow Six play part in the Stronach 5. It's funny, your best bet today is Jolting Joe in the first horse, although we did not pick the one Remarkable Silver. I'm thinking like the old Jolting Joe Orsino works well after he picked up his second win in as many days, and he's got the one Remarkable Silver on the rail. Now, this is a race where, for me, I don't fully trust the morning line favorite in the 6 Truly, who probably has run the best and just most consistently sharp on the turf. Yet she's coming back. She hasn't raced in about 7.5 months. I think she's certainly in the mix. I don't trust her, and clearly, Ronnie, at least as far as a top pick is concerned, you don't either, because you're taking, speaking of a barn that's gotten off to a good run, you've got Ken Sweezy and his horse, the 10, Baby Girl.
Yeah, Baby Girl beating the neck on the turf against 20 maidens up at Monmouth Park. It's going back to the grass. Ended her campaign on the Jersey Shore with that set the pace and fade outing. That was going a mile in the 16th on the main track. Ken Sweezy, Joe Bravo. Speed for me with this horse, the Daughter of Golden Sense. I thought maybe, I like you said, I don't trust the favorite in there. I put her in second, but I just thought Baby Girl with the right trip maybe can go on. Joey can slow him down on and near the front end and score. I mean, I don't know what price this horse is on the more second choice, so it's not any great shakes.
You're not a huge price,
right.
And the 11 Camellia Gal, though, is right next door. We both have that horse highly rated. Best of luck to J.C. Avila in the Cigar Mile tomorrow with King Guillermo, who's been based here at Gulfstream Park. I hope that horse runs a big race. I'm with you, though. I think there's an argument to be made. She is a filly that might like a little more ground this afternoon, stretching out from 5 furlongs.
Yeah, 2 for 4 in the money on the turf. Camilla Gal, she's run well. She's going back to the launch. She gave way grudgingly to finish second against those maidens going to the main track. You mentioned the connections. Edgar Zayas atop this Daughter of Mizzen Mast.
And then I've got Kathleen's horse. I'm taking a shot. Inside post, Miguel Speed, the 2 revved up like a deuce, who out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I mean, a major 180-degree turn with this horse's last turf start. Tail end of August was a gazillion to 1 that day, and really ran a solid race. I think against a field maybe a touch easier than this, but still it was a respectable field at the time, led by Jeannie's Angel. Rained off in 2 races since. I'm going to try to shake things up with Kathleen's horse from an inside post with Miguel. We'll hit the half-mile pole run. We'll move on to Friday's 6th race here. We'll chase that late pick 5, and off the bat, I am singling Rohan Crichton's horse, that is, an X-Top, who, from a figure standpoint, is just, I think he's just way the horse to beat. And he's coming out of a race, I'll talk about it more in a second, just one of those goofy races at GPW where the leader broke on top and just never looked back and wired the field. So a race where Rohan Crichton, Ronnie, by the way, was leading owner and trainer. He's going to get his owner's trophy for Gulfstream West in the 6th. He's got a pretty short price favorite. Cramden is a little interesting to me in the 7th. Didn't pick him on top, but go back and give him a look as he tries the turf today for only the second time in his career by Kenton's Joy. You know, and a bit further down, I saw a lot of speed in the 8th race, and I'm looking for that sprint to just melt down. I like Palladio, who I know you picked, and I think the One Famous Gent, because of his running style, may move up because there's just so much speed in that race. Included your best bet, Ronnie, the 4 Jolting Joe, along with Safi's Rhythmia, and the last race confused me. I went 4 deep there for $24, and first and foremost, you've got 2 in the race for trainer Mike Maker, and maybe the horse to beat is saddled with post number 12, so no great shakes there in the cash-out leg on this day number 3 here at GP. You know, talking about X-Top, though, this horse got a respectable figure in context to the field and was just wired. I feel like he ran his race and was just wired by a horse who paid over $30 back on November 21st at Gulfstream Park West. Going to take him here just to make amends, and I think this is a good spot for him.
Good spot for him. You know, he's 3-5 that afternoon and just got beat in there. Rowan Crichton. Paco's going to be in the saddle. I did go with Silver Dollar City. He's making his local return to first start since setting the pace up there and finishing third, going 6.5 on a wet fast track across town. Trainer Ralph Nix. Embassy El Jaramillo, I think, is going to be on the engine there playing Catch Me If You Can, X-Top, and then through True Identity, who finished second in front of Silver Dollar City last time out.
Yeah, it does seem like True Identity's improved over his last couple, that he's gotten the hang of it and just is a little stronger and better than previous in his career for Dan Pita and Miguel Vasquez riding that horse. How good has Miguel been, by the way, off the bat here?
He's been fantastic. He had a couple of wins yesterday, and he took the final couple of days off at Gulfstream Park West. He's rested, he's back, and he's been an exceptional rider throughout the year. You know, he's been first, second, or third in the standings throughout the summer, right to the fall. So he's right there at the wire, and I think he's going to have a pretty good meet this year.
I'm with you, and maybe the kind of guy you can catch some prices on, as both Tyler and Arad join us on Saturday. Miguel, in some respects, might get overlooked a bit, not from his riding standpoint, but there's only just so many live sort of favorites to go around, and no, it's worth keeping tabs on him. I'm with you 100%. Let's get on a race 7, and we'll keep tabs and go through this field on the turf at 7.5 furlongs, a 2-lifetime $20,000 to $16,000 claiming race in which you and I both like the 6 Kark. And I would imagine, Ronnie, and if memory serves, I feel, we'll backtrack to this horse's last race, September 19th. We liked him 2 back when he was second, shipping back home from Colonial Downs. And then we liked him last time when he was second behind Kunal, who was 9-5 and wired the field. You know, there's nothing really crazy to say about this gelding by Magician other than he ran fine. Ran really well, in fact, in relation to this field in his 2, late summer season races, the last of which we're looking at. And I think with that tactical speed, he just is a nice, tidy, neat package on paper here for a very good trainer, by the way, in Sarah Nagel.
Yeah, I was curious. I looked up a stat over the last couple of years with Sarah with a layoff of 61 to 180 days just on the turf. She's 6 for 16, 38%, 50% in the money. 694 is the return investment. I had got a bomber in there somewhere along the line.
Yeah, but still, dude, that's a I like that stat.
Yeah.
And this might not be an outfit that's going to come at you with a tidal wave of starters, but we see, much like in Efren Loza, when Sarah shows up, she is not just leading one over to potentially take a shot. Her horses always seem to run well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting that horse to run well this afternoon. Was toying with making that my best bet, but I did want to use Shining Through, who's now in the Kent Sweezy barn. Gelded Son of Malibu Moon drops to the 16. He hit the board 2 of 4. I just thought he'd run well with Paco Lopez in the saddle. You had the horse in second yourself.
Yeah, I've got a chalky exact, although I think the 2 Cramden, who's going to be a price, I think this horse might be worth a little bit of a look here for Mark Cassie and Victor LeBron. He's got the 1 turf race to date, and he just didn't run. Didn't get bet, didn't run all that well in his career debut on August 9th. Comes back. I really like the fact, off track aside, that he improved a lot in his second start. And then he caught a sloppy track fairly early and it was an off-the-turf race at Gulfstream West. I think it's too early to write him off. He's by Kitten's Joy. I could see him maybe needing that first start, and if he does have a true calling at being a turf horse, even though he's more of a restricted claimer, he might be able to make some noise at a very good price in today's 7th race.
Yeah, 15 to 1 on the Malign over there, and I had to get Bang Zoom in there.
Of course you did. Yeah.
You had to do it. I'm sorry.
Let's move on to the the 8 before I bang zoom you to the moon, my friend. Let's get on to this field. And, as we talk about the 8th race, the most interesting horse to me in the mix here is Warrior's Pride. And why don't we take a step back a couple of weeks ago, middle of November. This horse ran a hole in the wind. Now, I think going back, I'm viewing this race as good as he was and as razzle-dazzle as he was, just throwing down those insane fractions of 21 and 44 and kicking clear, and nobody got close to him. I'm viewing this race with a pretty skeptical eye. Firstly, early speed just dominated, it seemed, on the main track. Second of which, that Cassius King horse running in second, I think would have been unsaddled had he not broke slow, and he was cut off early with big trouble in that race for Safi. And there's a lot of speed in here, Ronnie, and you've got that combined with Warrior's Pride. What are your thoughts as he tries to, as an encore performance, he's also got to stretch out an additional half furlong here on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm going to use what I call the California angle, and that is Pasadena on the win with this horse. It's just, I got to watch another one. Not that he can't win. If he won, I would not be shocked. I got him on my ticket. I'm expecting to run well, but you and I both come up with Palladio in there. I just thought a two-time winner here would run well. I had a little trouble with this race because when you keep factoring Warrior's Pride, I didn't know how this race was going to set up.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping they're just flying. I really think this pace could be just like a towering inferno with Warriors. Carson City Kid is a run-and-gun type. The 5 Tiger loves to mix it up early, and he's been more of a speed and presser. And I don't know if Palladio's been, and he's our top pick, obviously, on the outside, the 6 horse for Antonio. I don't know if he's been as, flashy as some of the speed horses have been in their respective careers, but I think this is an opportunity where he can maybe overall flashy ability doesn't do you that great in this field because so many horses have that style, and he might be the one through just the fact that he can rate and stalk and finish. He might just get the best trip of anybody.
I like his consistency. It was the reason I put him on top. I did use Carson City Kid, who was third behind Palladio when they competed at 5 furlongs on October 23rd. Second in front of him when they hooked up at this distance on October 4th. He renews the rivalry today. I just thought maybe he can be part of the exactor try on that ticket. Marquesi has Emmanuel Jaramillo in the saddle.
Let's get on to the 8th, all-turf double. In fact, the 9th, rather, all-turf double begins here, and it is a very solid race that also plays part in the Stronach 5 this afternoon. We're on the turf, again, going 1 mile and a 16th with this allowance optional claimer, and you've got kind of 3.5, 4 main horses, the 4 of which Roddy and I boxed up between Flow Motion on the rail for Jane Sibeli. The horse to beat is obviously the 4 Jolting Joe. 5 Rhythmia has been just a gem of consistency for Safi. And Danny Gargan's horse on the outside, and Miaminoy. He's got some talent and could see him running a big one. Yet let's start, Ronnie, with your best bet in the 4 Jolting Joe. We'll go back to his loss against Monforte in the showing up. I'll tell you, Monforte turned into just an absolute 3-year-old stakes lawnmower here on this circuit over the summer, and he kept up those winning ways and winning the showing up. But I think Jolting Joe just ran a good race, clunking along for second there over the turf course in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, and he was just fake. He's had 4 consecutive races against stakes caliber competition. You're watching the second place finish in the $60,000 showing up for Mike Maker, and I just thought he was the logical horse in here. Got to stand on Mike Maker with his domestic shippers, optional claimers into Gulfstream. He's 10 for 43, 23%, 40% of the money. You knew it was going to be good, 253, but I wanted to show it an optional claiming rank. So maybe Jolton Joe, sitting on a winning performance, made it my best bet. And as you mentioned, there's a couple other ways you can go in this race. Being my best bet, I also had to use that 1 Flow Motion.
Flow Motion, who hits hard, and I mean this is something, an angle that worked out to be a catalyst and a very good one and prescient one for you on both opening day and yesterday with Grand Saman and then Awesome Roar. You like horses that have multiple wins on this turf course. I mean, how about this guy's record locally here at GP?
Yeah, it's just been incredible. 5-time local winner returns. Solid 2-race campaign up in New Jersey at Monmouth. And one of those angles over the years here that I always use the first opening weeks because you get so many different horses coming from different places. Besides Gulfstream Park West. Horses that have run well in the past here, sort of, I sort of side with them a little bit.
And Rhythmia's run fine, obviously, at Gulfstream, and he's been good since being claimed from Safi, and seems, in my estimation, to be in career form currently on the turf. And Edgar's going to ride him, and you've got Danny Gargan, who in the few starters we've seen as his operation starts to trickle down from up north for the winter meet, the few runners he sent out, and that includes the last week and change, give or take, of Gulfstream West. His barn's been live, and there's talent here with this 8-horse Miaminoy. I know he hasn't run all that often, and maybe there's been some starts and fits with him. I could see him showing up with a big race this afternoon.
Yeah, and you make a great point with just the barn being so good since they arrived here. He was beaten only 3/4 of a length in the $100,000 Dania Beach in February, I believe it was. Yep. Returns. He ended his campaign up north, with that Allowance Company, 7th place finish against Allowance Company at Saratoga. Barn, you got to watch that barn. I'm telling you, there's the barn win early, and they've been doing just that.
Well, you had the good maker stat for his shippers here at Gulfstream. And speaking of just keeping tabs on a barn, that is a necessity and then some as you dive into the turf finale here on this day 3 at Gulfstream Park, because Mike Maker, in fact, has got two entrants in this 3 lifetime $20,000 to $16,000 claimer, led by my top selection, the 7 Time for Trouble, who I would like to think, I think he's proven, this horse, that he just is better on firm ground. He's got 3 races on less than firm turf, and they've just been very forgettable. And I'm not saying he's a world beater on firmer ground, but he's run far better when the turf is dry as opposed to when it is a little rain softened. So that's not an issue for him today. And maybe he didn't care for the Gulfstream West turf course back in the middle of October. So I'm taking him on top. Then you've got the other maker horse, the 12 Let's Play Hardball, who's got some nice turf races on the go back. But, I mean, Ronnie, that post out there, dude, post 12.
Tough. Actually, this year we've had a couple of winners winning from outside posts, but in general, it is just hard to win up there. The way I saw the race shaping up with Time for Trouble, I thought Super Jaguar would be up there, and the horse that would sit the trip would be Time for Trouble. He's a 2-time winner locally, but Super Jaguar going to the Paul Kopach barn, returns locally. He set the pace against those 20 condition claimers going a mile at GP West. Edgar Prado, I think he's the speed in the last race, but if someone goes up and challenges him, it absolutely sets up for your top horse, Time for Trouble.
I'm with you. I think Paul's horse has got every right to run well. We've seen that barn, and again, he's not going to come at you with 3 runners a day, but claiming horses, it's been a good 2020 for Mr. Kopach, and I could see the 9 Captain D running okay here as well. Now, historically, he had done okay and had handled the turf at Gulfstream West as a 2-year-old, but I wonder, caught the good turf 2 back at a better field last time. I think he might be a little dirtied up as he runs for Terry Pompey 3rd off the claim. Give him a look in the last race this afternoon. As we, my friend, dive into the lightning round, my buddy boy, on this opening Friday card, many topics to get to, including a Thursday recap off the bat. We've run 20 races here this meet, and if you had to give the performer of the day, would it be Edgar Zayas and Awesome Roar in yesterday's featured 9th?
Yeah, being that I picked it on top. Watch this race. You see everything. You don't see anything right now, but watch it a couple of seconds. Zoom. Edgar is just riding his turf course perfectly. And, to get $14, 5-1 in the morning line, which we had talked about on the early show yesterday, we thought was a fair price, and that's what we sort of got. So definitely a good performance, and Edgar just waited and moved just at the right time.
Just so confident in his own, and looking forward to seeing what he can do throughout the expansive winter meet here at Gulfstream Park. Now, another key order of business is the Stronach 5. You got the 12% takeout, the opening week, essentially, of the Stronach 5 having Gulfstream Park and not Gulfstream West in the mix. As you look at the sequence, and it begins at 349, 350 with the 8th race at Laurel Park, we've got our final 3 races, Ronnie, in the mix from Gulfstream. I mean, give me 1 or 2 horses that are must-uses if you're playing this thing this afternoon.
Well, as we talked earlier, with Jolting Joe, I think you got to put him on your ticket. He's been facing stakes competition from Mike Maker, Joe Bravo in the saddle, maybe the horse like Flow Motion that's also in that race, but I just thought Jolting Joe is one of those horses you could sort of key off where maybe you go only too deep in that race, so you don't have to use, you could use more horses in the other races, whether it's here or the races from up at Laurel. So I thought Jolting Joe was a major player in that spot.
Yeah, I think Palladio, who we both like a little bit in the 8th race, is a must use. And don't be, I think people, I don't want to say, but he hasn't run as fast as some of the others in there. But I think it's a spot where not only his consistency helps him out a little bit, he's well drawn and may just get a very good trip. And Palladio, I think, is a must use in the Stronach 5. And taking a page from Warrior's Pride in that 8th race with Palladio as a whole, we had touched upon to an extent that big maiden win. And if there's one horse that's got like a crazy fast speed figure on today's card that won last out, it's Warrior's Pride. And I think, if I remember correctly, you're like me, there's a little bit of untrustworthiness, if you will, with that horse in the 8th race.
Well, as everybody knows, I've been handicapping horses since I'm a young pup, and these are the type of horses that get me all the time. When I don't bet them, they come back and win again. When I bet them, they run up the track. So I'm going to go, as I said before, I'm going to watch. I'm not going to leave this horse off my ticket by any chance, but I'm going to, I don't know about for the win. I got to see another one for them, for trainer Antonio Chiaffi.
We're looking at big fields, though, in the meantime, as far as turf post positions are concerned. I mean, geez, we're about 30 minutes out, 29, in fact, from a 12-horse Friday opener. And I really think post comes into play in the nightcap with Let's Play Hardball, who is a morning line favorite. He's got Mike Maker, and he's 3-1 in a maxed-out field in the Friday nightcap. And for me, he's in a real dangerous area where you're historically breaking from a post here from these summertime stats. 70 starters, Ronnie, from post 12 on the turf at a mile or over with only 3 winners. I would head into that with a little bit of caution regarding Let's Play Hardball.
Yeah, what I've done, just handicapping this early part of the meet, is when I see horses like this breaking from post 12, I have them a little further down on ticket. They have to prove. Now, the horse that won the last race happened to win from an outside post on the turf, so maybe it's turning around. But you have to go with these stats, throughout the year. It's tough to win depending where the rail was. The rail setting yesterday was 24 feet. Sometimes we have it out farther or in, and, you got to make those decisions. With me, I back off him a little bit.
No, I'm with you. As a rule of thumb, I do back off, and I think he's got a tough road to hoe. Now, the Saturday card, our opening weekend program, obviously tomorrow, December 5th, it is gargantuan in every sense of the word. The annual Claiming Crown races. You've got, in addition to the 9 Claiming Crown stakes, a nice surprise was the inclusion and the day-long steady stream of mounts from both Rod Ortiz Jr. and Tyler Gaffleone, which brings us to our Twitter poll on this opening Friday as far as who do you think will wind up the leading rider here when this meet caps and ends in late March of 2021. Do keep in mind, this poll is active, so if you want to hop online on Twitter, feel free, and I would love if you voted. Who do you think, Ronnie, out of those 4, or do you have somebody else in mind out of those 4 riders?
No, Louis getting it this year. He just keeps losing by 1. He's getting it this year. He's down here early. He's got a little bit of a head start, so I'm going to root with him. Tough to go against Arad and, maybe Jose, but I just got to go with Louis. I just love the way he rides this, both the dirt and turf course.
I'm pulling an upset here. I'm going with Tyler. I think coming back, winning basically everything you'd want to win during his 2020 stint in Kentucky and being like the guy for Mike Maker and riding a lot for Todd, especially with Johnny and Javier being far more selective now as they're further along in their careers. I'm thinking Tyler's got a shot to really make a dent on both Arad and Louis, who, again, as Ronnie was saying, have seemingly been separated by 1 win at the end of the last 2 winter meets. We've also got Jesus returning home here to Gulfstream Park tomorrow afternoon, and he is starting as a big favorite, my friend. He faces a fairly compact field, smack dab in the middle of Saturday's Claiming Crown program. He'll go and have to face 7 horses. What's your early feeling here off the bat as he tries to have a little bit of a dress rehearsal for the Pegasus World Cup?
Well, he likes to run here, and you have to admit, this was the feel-good story of the whole summer. He just kept closing. And, what was he in the Breeders' Cup?
Unreal.
62-1.
Yep.
He closes. So, yeah, just a great story, Mom and Papa, set up and just running great. So I think he's in a good spot, 6-5. And as you have put on the bottom, it's a prep for the Pegasus Dirt. So I'm sure he's, they would love to win. It's not, hey, claiming Crown Jewel is $150,000.
No, it's a lot of scratch. And I find it interesting, just wrapping up with Jesus' team quickly, you know, his role as like this crazy Cinderella type underdog. I mean, that is really flipped on its head tomorrow because he's going to be the horse everybody in that race is gunning for and looking out for, and that's obviously not a role he has played since winning a claiming race here back in May, and that ended up just sending him on a major run for Jose D'Angelo. Looking forward to Jesus' team in the Jewel tomorrow afternoon. 150K, my friend, in the Guaranteed Rainbow Six. Ronnie had his ticket a little earlier in the show, and good luck if you're getting involved there. Race number 5 is the launching pad, and once again, Ronnie, we've been really blessed. It was a tough run at times over at Gulfstream Park West. But, I mean, at 12:10 in the afternoon, take a look at that live shot.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. The weather has been nice. The humidity's been down. The horses have been enjoying it. As you see them in the walking ring just prancing around. So everything, conditions are excellent.
And they're excellent upstairs as well. As Ronnie and I take a quick time out, we'll see all of you about 15 minutes before the Friday opener, but we got to make a pit stop up in the booth. The one, the only, Pete Aiello with those Friday scratches and changes.